Welcome, Poke People. This is Professor Evergreen of the Evergreen Butterfrees today, here with a team builder video for our first opponent in this GBA-style drafting tournament. Now, our first opponent is going to be the Wu-Tang Wobbuffets, coached by Peter. You can see his team on the right, but let's go over my team real quick, my possible team. For those of you who don't know, the Pokemon I've drafted on my team are Volcanion, Togekiss, Nidoqueen, Umbreon, Hitmontop, Gothorita, Mega Venusaur, Garchomp, Metagross, Dugtrio, and Rotom-Mow. So the first thing I noticed on this team's right away, big threat, Mega Alakazam. There's no way I'm going to bring my Mega Venusaur in this match. My Mega Venusaur outright dies to his Mega Alakazam. There's just no way. That thing is a beast. Rocking an impressive speed and special attack set at that as well. There are only 3 Pokemon on my entire roster that can even possibly outspeed this Mega Alakazam, and that is a Scarfed Garchomp, a Scarfed Dugtrio, or a Scarfed Rotom-Mow. If I do not Scarf them, I cannot guarantee that I will outspeed the Mega Alakazam. I'm not bringing the Rotom-Mow. I did not think it did enough to its team. Dugtrio doesn't make any sense to Scarf Dugtrio, especially when he has Sucker Punch anyways, which is what primarily I would be using against Alakazam. So Scarf Garchomp would be the only thing I can guarantee to outspeed him. And I just didn't think it was going to be worth it for this match to go Scarf Garchomp with what I built. So I'm not going to do that either. I'm going to find other ways to deal with this Mega Alakazam that I'll show you here in a second. Besides that, other Pokemon I need to keep an eye out for. Cloyster. I could really see Peter bringing a Cloyster. He loves using that with max attack, max speed, usually with the Focus Sash Shell Smash set. So I have a couple things to deal with that if he brings that. Excadrill, also big threat. Rapid Spinner, going to get rid of my hazards, which are going to be very important in this match, which I'll show you in a little bit also. Wobbuffet's a big threat, and Haxorus and Infernape as well. I'm not too worried about the Chansey. I don't think Chansey could do that much to my team, and I think I can poison it and not worry about it too much. The Wobbuffet trapping me, I was very worried about. I had to plan ahead for that. And then the Infernape and Haxorus, just because I could see those being either setup mons or sweepers at the end to clean up. Those can be pretty big threats. Zoroark could mess with me a little bit, but I'm not too worried about it. If he brings it, I don't think he's going to bring it, but if he does, just need to be on top of my predicting game. Slowking and Granbull also, I don't see too much as threats. I have some stuff for them as well on the team, but I'm not overly planning for those two. And then, last but not least, Shuckle. I actually do think Peter is going to bring Shuckle, and not necessarily because it's great against my team. I just know that personally, Peter loves the Pokemon Shuckle, so I can very much see him bringing him against my team just because he wants to use him. That being said, Shuckle does need to be planned for. It can be a very annoying Pokemon, either with Contrary or just Toxic Stall, Power Check. Not sure what shenanigans he's going to want to run. So let's start with the first Pokemon team. It's going to be my Dugtrio, nicknamed Pawns over here, with the Focus Sash, rocking the moves Earthquake, Sucker Punch, Beat Up, and Final Gambit. So let's go over this real quick. Of course, Earthquake is just going to be his strongest stab move, going to hit anything on his team. Peter has absolutely no Levitators and no Flyers on his team, so there's no reason not to bring Stabbed Earthquake on my Dugtrio. Going to be putting in a lot of work. Sucker Punch, of course, for that Mega Alakazam. Can trap it in there and go ahead and give it a Sucker Punch. I doubt Mega Alakazam is going to be able to do too much to stop that. Beat Up. This is a very one of the first 2 very special moves on this team. The Beat Up is my answer on Dugtrio for if I get stuck in on Wobbuffet. Now, with Wobbuffet, I wanted to make sure that every single one of my Pokemon on my team had an answer to do something to Wobbuffet. Now, not all of them will have the best thing. Some of them will have a better answer than others because I can't just completely cater to just fighting the one Pokemon on his team. However, I wanted to make sure that if any one of these 6 Pokemon got stuck in on Wobbuffet, they had something that they could do. And the answer for my Dugtrio is going to be Beat Up. For those of you who don't know what Beat Up is, it is a Dark-type move, so it's going to be super effective. It is a physical move. and it hits once for every time for every Pokemon on your team that's still alive and does not have a status effect. So for example, if I get in on the Wobbuffet early on, my beat up is going to be hitting 6 times. It's going to go 6 times in a row, and as long as no one has a status effect and they're all still alive. And the damage is based off of the attack stat of each of the Pokemon. So the damage would be based off of Dugtrio's attack stat for the first one, but then, as you can see up there, the Hitmontop, Metagross, the Umbreon, the Nidoqueen, and the Garchomp. So some of those have some pretty good attack sets as well. So beat up with a full roster, non-status effect, all still alive, will be doing pretty much a lot of damage. It won't necessarily just knock out the Wobbuffet. However, it at least will do more than, Sucker Punch does nothing. Final Gambit's not going to do very much at all. Earthquake's going to be the best move besides that, but even then, with a counter or Wobbuffet, that's just going to not be enough to take him out before he takes me out. However, with the beat up, it should at least be a 2-hit KO, so if I still have my Focus Sash intact, I could beat up, he can counter if that's what he predicted, assuming that he used that, and then I can survive and still beat up one more time to take him out. And the last move is Final Gambit. Again, for those of you who don't know how Final Gambit works, it is a move that takes that does damage equal to your HP, your remaining HP. As you can see down below, I actually have some HP investment in my Dugtrio, which is very weird. Usually don't see HP investment in Dugtrio. The reason I did this is specifically for just one Pokemon, and that Pokemon is just Shuckle. If I see his team and I'm in on a Shuckle with a full HP Dugtrio, and I don't think that I'm going to need Dugtrio for the rest of the match, if I feel like I still need my Dugtrio, I'm not going to just waste on the Shuckle. I feel like I have other ways I can still deal with the Shuckle. But what's really cool about this Final Gambit is it's going to one-hit KO the Shuckle. His defenses and special defense aren't going to matter. His HP stat is relatively low. I put enough points in HP for this Dugtrio, so that way a max HP Shuckle will still be knocked out by this Final Gambit. So there's no way I can't one-hit KO him as long as I'm at full health. And since I'm planning on even setting up hazards, there's even a good chance when he comes in with the Shuckle, he won't be at full health anyways. Again, I don't want to just waste my Dugtrio on Shuckle without him doing anything else, unless I see his team and I really feel like I'm not going to need him anywhere else per se. So besides that, I put the rest in his attack and speed like normal. The amount of speed I put in the Dugtrio was just to make sure that I outsped Infernape as long as it was Adamant or Modest, depending if he's an attacker, special attacker. If he chose Timid or I always forget the other one. The other one for the attacking one. If he chose the one where he gets more speed, then he's gonna outspeed me, but he was gonna outspeed me regardless. The only way I could have made sure to outspeed him was to make sure to not have put those points in HP, and I felt like it was really worth it because I also have other answers to the Infernape. I felt like it was really worth it to go for this Final Gambit HP investment, especially since I don't think he'll see it coming. It'll be one of those things that there's no way he's going to see it coming. So that's my Dugtrio for this match, nickname Puns. We're going to go ahead and switch over to the next Pokemon on my roster, and that is going to be Hitmontop, nickname Knight. As you can see, my nicknames are going to be chess-themed this week. He's rocking the Leftovers, Technician Ability, Rapid Spin, Toxic, Vacuum Wave, and Mach Punch. So, first thing that you notice, he is going to be my defensive Mon with Leftovers, going to be able to take those physical hits on his team. Technician boosted for the Mach Punch and the Vacuum Wave. Now, why do I have Vacuum Wave? My base special attack is only 35 in Hitmontop. I even put some points into it, and this is to make sure that I can 2-hit KO with Vacuum Wave the Cloyster. So Vacuum Wave is specifically for the Cloyster. Besides that, I'm going to be using the other attacks mostly on everyone else. The main reason for this is because Cloyster has a very, very high defense stat, and the Mach Punch was not going to be enough to 2-hit KO it. And I wanted a priority move that could at least 2-hit KO it because of the Shell Smash Focus Sash set that I am worried about. If he brings a more defensive set and not that set, I won't be as worried. So even though I won't be able to technically 2-hit KO him, if he brings a more defensive set and actually puts HP investment or some special defense investment, then I won't be able to 2-hit KO him, but I'm not going to be too worried about him at that point. He's not going to be as strong as I think he is to sweep my team. Otherwise, I would be actually very worried about this Cloyster sweeping my team. All the guys I have something to hit Cloyster with. So if I'm in with someone else when he brings in the Cloyster, I'll hit it really strong with something, and then I might even end up sacking off something on my team that I won't need anymore at that point to die to the Cloyster, and then I'll come in with a Hypnotop, and one Vacuum Wave after it had already taken other damage should be enough to take it out. So that is why he has Vacuum Wave on there. Mach Punch, of course, is just to cover for the physical side. He has a great physical, he has a decent attack stat. Mach Punch is going to do a lot of damage to that Chansey. Excadrill is going to do a pretty good amount. Zoroark's going to do a pretty good amount against that. And then the Rapid Spit, of course, to help get rid of hazards. Now the Toxic is Hitmontop's answer to being stuck in on Wobbuffet. Obviously, I will use Toxic on other things as well, but if I am stuck in on the Wobbuffet and I cannot get out, I'm just going to be sitting there hitting Toxic. He can Encore me into it if he wants, or do whatever. He's going to have to switch out at some point, and I will Toxic with Wobbuffet, and I will Toxic possibly whatever comes in, but you won't be able to get my Hypnotop because I'm not going to hit anything except for Toxic. And then, when he switches out, then I'll have a switch in for whatever he brings it into something else. So that is Hypnotop's answer to the Wobbuffet. Now, moving on to the next Pokemon, we have the Metagross, our Rook here. He is rocking the Assault Vest, Clear Body ability, Flash Cannon, Pursuit, Earthquake, and Meteor Mash. Now, this is a pretty standard spread for Assault Vested Metagross. Basically, he's going to be able to come in and take hits from the special attackers like the Mega Alakazam and the Slowking, especially the Mega Alakazam. This is one of my two primary answers to the Mega Alakazam, and that's because he can take a Psychic attack very well from the Mega Alakazam. He can even take a Focus Blast pretty well. He can come in, Mega Alakazam is probably going to want to switch out at that point, and I'm going to Pursue. Pursuit should be able to take care of the Mega Alakazam. Earthquake and Meteor Mash. Of course, Meteor Mash is Stab, very strong. I have no Psychic Stab on this Metagross because looking at his team, there are no Pokemon that Psychic moves would really work that well against except for the Infernape, and that's pretty much it. But I would be worried about it being a Zoroark and taking no damage, or even being the Excadrill and taking minimal damage. Basically, it just wasn't worth it to me. So we are going with Earthquake because Earthquake hits everything on his team. There are several Pokemon that's super effective against, as well as just there are no Levitators, no Flyers. Earthquake does a decent amount of damage to a lot of things. And then Flash Cannon for the special attack. Metagross has a decent special attack. I'm not doing any investment in it or anything. But one, this does a lot of damage to the Cloyster. It's going to do a lot more damage than a physical attack, again, because of his high defensive stat on the Cloyster. And then besides that, that's my secondary answer to Wobbuffet. Now, this is probably my worst technical answer to Wobbuffet, but with having Flash Cannon, I can trick the Wu-Tang Wobbuffets into thinking that I just have a bunch of physical moves, and then he, instead of worrying about encoring a move or doing something else, he's probably just going to hit counter. At this point, I'm going to hit Flash Cannon and hit him with a special attack so his counter does nothing. Now at this point, after he got hit with Flash Cannon, he's going to have to decide, knowing that I probably also have physical attacks, whether or not he should hit counter, Magico, or if he should encore me into a move so that way he knows what's coming. And I think between this and me switching up my moves and predicting, I should be able to kill the Wobbuffet without actually taking a counter or a miracle, or possibly just one. So it really just depends. So this is probably my worst answer to Wobbuffet, but I can mix up my attacks so that way he doesn't know which one he should pick, counter or Magico. So we're going to go ahead and switch over to the next Pokemon on my list, which is Bishop, the Umbreon. With the leftovers, Synchronized ability, we're having Heal Bell, Wish, Baton Pass, and Foul Play. This is my primary Cleric of the team. It's going to be able to switch in on a lot of the special attackers. This is my primary switch in probably to Alakazam if I don't think I can come in with the Metagross and take it out necessarily right away. Of course, the Psychic moves will do absolutely nothing to Umbreon. The best move that Mega Alakazam will have for this Umbreon is Focus Blast, and it should be able to live 1. And after that, of course, Heal Bell, get rid of statuses, Wish to heal back Umbreon or anyone else on my team, Baton Pass, nice slow Baton Pass, so that way, whatchamacallit, I switch out second, so he gets an attack off first, I switch out into something that is better matched up against it, and Umbreon will get the hit of the attack, which is much better than whatever I'm switching in usually. And then Foul Play, just so it has an attack, as well as the fact that Foul Play actually does do a decent amount of damage to the Mega Alakazam. It should actually 2-hit KO the Mega Alakazam unless he has a lot of, like, if he has 0 IVs in it with a negative nature, then it might be a 3-hit KO. But otherwise, Foul Play is going to be doing a pretty decent amount of damage to the Mega Alakazam even. Pretty standard spread on as far as the EVs go. Making sure that I always have an odd HP number at the top. Of course, that's mainly because of Stealth Rocks. Anytime you switch into hazards like that, if you have an odd number of HP, it's always going to round down, which allows you to have more switch-ins to things like Stealth Rocks. Alright, so the next Pokemon on my team is going to be our Queen, our Nidoqueen. Going to have Focus Sash, Poison Point, Roar, Toxic Spike, Stealth Rock, and Super Fang. So I don't think he's going to be expecting this at all. When you see Nidoqueen, you think Sheer Force. It could be a physical or special attacker, but you think Sheer Force, lots of damage coming your way. And this is definitely much different. The Focus Sash is mainly because I want to make sure I can guarantee that I get the Toxic Spikes up. The Toxic Spikes are going to do a lot to his team. Everything gets hit by it except for the Excadrill. And Excadrill is the only thing that can spin them away. So I am going to have to keep an eye out for the Excadrill to make sure I keep up my Toxic Spikes. But besides the Excadrill, everything else is going to be affected by it. Alakazam, obviously, if it has Magic Guard, won't be at first, but as soon as it Mega Evolves, it will start taking the toxic damage as well. Stealth Rocks also for some more residual damage. And the Roar is my answer to being stuck in a Wobbuffet. So if this Pokemon is stuck in a Wobbuffet, it's just going to go ahead and Roar Wobbuffet out. As well as, because this is a defensive set and sets up a lot, it can also, predict the Excadrill maybe coming in and roar it out, or just roar things out in general to move around, get him poisoned, get him hurt by Stealth Rocks. And the last move is Super Fang. Since this Nidoqueen is not going to have any attack investment and no special attack investment, not even going to need to rock the Sheer Force at all, have no moves that even, deal with it. So just have Poison Point in it. Super Fang's going to automatically do 50% damage to anything that is going to come into it. So that is going to be pretty cool. So yes, a very interesting defensive set Nidoqueen. Definitely not, there's no way he's going to be able to predict this set. He's going to think that this is going to come in and do some damage. I might scare something out and set up some hazards, which would be really nice. Very, very nice. And the last Pokemon on our team is going to be King, which is our Garchomp, rocking a Shed Shell, Rough Skin ability, Swords Dance, Earthquake, Poison Jab, and Outrage. Now, the Shed Shell is my answer to Wobbuffet. What this item does is it ignores the Shadow Tag ability, so if my Garchomp is in on Wobbuffet, I can switch out whenever I need to. The Shadow Tag does not matter. I might not even do that right away to bait him into doing something different. I might get a few Sword Stances up, and he might try to Encore me into it. Or if he keeps trying to counter, I feel like if I set up 3 Sword Stances and, hit Outrage or Earthquake, I probably actually could just take the Wobbuffet out in one hit if he lets me do that. I doubt he will, though. If I use Sword Stance that many times, I'm sure he's going to Encore me into it and then switch out into something that can kill me. At that point, if he Encores me into it, I will predict, based on what on his team is, that he would switch out to kill my Garchomp, and I will switch in appropriately, him not expecting me to be able to switch at all, and I will switch into the appropriate response to whatever is going to be there. This is the Pokemon that I could have Scarfed to outspeed the Mega Alakazam, but I just didn't feel like it was worth it. I feel like with the Sword Stance and these coverage moves, I could pretty much take care of anything on his team, which is really nice. I invested just enough speed that I can outspeed Max Speed Jolly Haxorus. So this Garchomp is pretty much going to be able to, as long As long as it's not scarfed, this Garchomp should be able to outspeed anything on his team except for Mega Alakazam, of course, and the Infernape. Now, the Infernape, it will outspeed it if it doesn't have, if it's not max speed, Jolly, or Timid. If it's actually Adamant or Modest instead of Jolly or Timid, then this Garchomp will outspeed it. But if it's max speed, Jolly, or max speed, Timid, the Infernape will outspeed. Now, the main reason I didn't even worry about this, of course, is because, one, I knew that the Infernape has good priority moves anyways. So if it saw the Garchomp and it figured it was out good speed, it was going to use a priority move anyways. I wasn't too worried about that. Plus, Garchomp can usually take most hits from an Infernape. There aren't too many hits an Infernape can do that I would worry about just one-shotting my Garchomp. So I didn't worry about outspeeding him if he was Jolly or Timid. Just wanted to make sure I outsped everything else. I couldn't make sure I outsped it. Like, if it's Haxorus' Choice Scarf, that's the main thing I need to worry about. If it's Haxorus' Choice Scarf, then we'll have to work around that hazard-wise and probably doing correct switches. But hopefully his Haxorus is not. I'm expecting it to be a setup also. I feel like if he brings Haxorus, he's going to bring it a setup. But he might bring a Scarf. It could be setup or Scarf. Mega Alakazam, I'm not even worried about outspeeding because I have other things in between my Umbreon, my Metagross, and then my Sucker Punch Deck Trio. Those are my answers to try to kill Mega Alakazam this game. Garchomp is going to try to come in at the end later and just clean up. And Outrage is going to be doing damage to a lot of things. Obviously, if he brings the Grand Pull, I have Poison Jab for it. Otherwise, everything else does not take an Outrage too well. Possibly the Excadrill, but I have Earthquake for him, of course. And that's pretty much my team. I just did max attack after that on this Garchomp, and then put the remaining in HP, and then the leftovers in defense and special defense, just because I had them. So this is what we're going to bring against the Wu-Tang Wobbuffets. I'll have a video up for our battle with him shortly. And thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you guys next time.